Dog Soldiers, 2002, is a British horror comedy film written and directed by Neil Marshall. The film blends elements of military action, werewolf horror, and dark comedy to deliver a uniquely thrilling and often bloody narrative. In this detailed analysis, we will explore the plot, character development, themes, cinematic techniques, and reception of Dog Soldiers, as well as its place within the broader horror genre. Dog Soldiers opens with a brutal scene in the Scottish Highlands, where a group of British soldiers is ambushed by a mysterious, ferocious force. The soldiers are initially shown as highly trained and confident, but they are soon caught off guard by something far beyond their expectations. This ominous introduction foreshadows the horror that will unfold later in the film. The main plot follows a small group of British soldiers who are sent to the Scottish wilderness for a routine training exercise. The soldiers, led by Sergeant Wells, Sean Pertwee, are tasked with working in a remote area, but things quickly go awry. The group is ambushed by werewolves, a terrorizing and nearly unstoppable force. As the soldiers fight for survival, they are forced to reckon with their fears and utilize every weapon at their disposal to stay alive. The film's protagonist, Private Cooper, Kevin McKidd, is the moral center of the story. Cooper is a new recruit who has not yet fully proven himself, but he is soon thrust into the fight for survival. He is reluctant but ultimately brave in the face of overwhelming odds. The soldiers face unimaginable horror as they battle werewolves, trying to find a way to escape while uncovering secrets about the creatures they are fighting. As the group seeks refuge in a remote farmhouse, they realize they are not only being hunted by werewolves, but also targeted by a shadowy military organization that has been involved in unethical experiments. The soldiers must navigate both human and monstrous threats with little hope of survival. By the end of the film, only a handful of survivors remain, and they face a grim future. The film's characters are typical of military horror films in that they are hardened soldiers, each with their own set of skills and personalities. However, Dog Soldiers does an excellent job of deepening their characters through the course of the film. Cooper is the central character of the film, and his arc is one of growth and self-discovery. Initially portrayed as a more naive, unsure soldier who is thrown into a high-pressure situation, Cooper evolves into a capable leader and fighter as the story progresses. His character's strength lies in his humanity, which contrasts sharply with the monstrous forces around him. Unlike some of his fellow soldiers, Cooper questions orders and shows compassion for the civilians caught in the crossfire, such as Megan, Emma Cleesby, a woman who is later revealed to have a connection to the werewolves. Wells is the experienced leader of the soldiers, a grizzled veteran who has seen his share of combat. His confidence is shaken by the supernatural threat they face, but he remains committed to keeping his squad alive. Wells is a pragmatic and, at times, morally ambiguous figure, showing how the stress of battle can lead to moral compromises. As the soldiers are forced into a situation where they must rely on their instincts to survive, Wells's leadership is put to the test. Captain Ryan is a mysterious character who appears partway through the film. Initially, he presents himself as a potential ally to the soldiers, but it quickly becomes clear that his motives are not entirely altruistic. As the film unfolds, Ryan's true nature as a government agent involved in the secret experimentation with werewolves is revealed. His character serves as an example of how governmental organizations often operate in morally gray areas, especially in the context of experimentation and exploitation. Megan is a civilian who becomes entangled in the soldier's nightmare. A tough, resourceful woman who has lived in the remote farmhouse with her father, she plays a key role in the soldier's survival. Her backstory is tied to the werewolves, as her father had been involved in research that led to the creation of these creatures. Megan is resourceful, determined, and central to the unraveling of the mystery of the werewolves' origins. The primary theme in Dog Soldiers is survival. Survival against both monstrous creatures and the corruption of authority. The soldiers are forced into a situation where their training and camaraderie are tested by an unrelenting and unpredictable enemy. As they fight to stay alive, they must also confront the realities of sacrifice, whether it be sacrificing their lives or their moral codes. The characters are consistently faced with the harshness of combat and the ways in which they must compromise their values for the sake of survival. Dog Soldiers critiques authority figures and the military establishment, portraying government and military institutions as having ulterior motives. The film implies that the government's involvement in the creation of the werewolves through secret experiments highlights the ethical compromises that institutions can make in the name of power. Captain Ryan's role in this is particularly telling, as he represents a cold, calculating approach to achieving objectives, even if it means using people as expendable pawns in the larger scheme. A central question in Dog Soldiers revolves around what makes a monster. While the werewolves themselves are the obvious antagonists, the film suggests that the true monstrosity lies in how humanity is willing to go to extreme lengths for power, as demonstrated by the government's role in the werewolf experiments. The soldiers, despite being forced to kill, display human qualities like compassion, humor, and camaraderie. The werewolves, on the other hand, are almost entirely devoid of these traits, which makes them frightening and alien. One of the standout aspects of Dog Soldiers is its practical effects and werewolf design. The film uses impressive practical makeup and prosthetics, which were groundbreaking for its time, and the werewolves have a distinct look. Their hulking, muscular bodies and wolf-like faces make them terrifying opponents, and the film's decision to forego CGI in favor of practical effects gives the monsters a more tangible, physical presence that enhances their menace. The use of practical effects, such as animatronics and costume designs, adds to the film's gritty, tactile realism, grounding the horror in a believable world. Neil Marshall's direction is notable for its ability to create intense tension, often building suspense through slow reveals. The audience is kept on edge as the soldiers are slowly picked off one by one, with each encounter with the werewolves increasing the stakes. The pacing of the film is tight, with very little downtime. The claustrophobic feeling of being trapped in the farmhouse adds to the sense of isolation, while the frequent jump scares and violent confrontations maintain a sense of constant danger. Despite its grim premise, Dog Soldiers includes moments of dark humor. The characters' banter, particularly the soldiers' comical jabs at one another, adds a layer of levity amidst the chaos. This humor serves not only to humanize the characters, but also to balance the intense violence and horror. The soldiers' wit and ability to joke under pressure show the camaraderie that forms in the most extreme situations, which is crucial to the film's emotional core. Dog Soldiers was released to critical acclaim, particularly for its blend of horror and military action. The film was praised for its pacing, character development, and innovative use of practical effects. Many horror fans and critics noted that Dog Soldiers stood out among other werewolf films due to its unique setting, its approach to the werewolf mythos, and its blend of dark humor with visceral horror. The film earned a strong cult following and helped establish Neil Marshall as a director to watch in the genre of horror and thriller filmmaking. The film was also a success on home video and is often cited as one of the best werewolf films of the 21st century, alongside films like The Descent, 2005, which Marshall would later direct. The success of Dog Soldiers contributed to the resurgence of practical effects in horror, influencing a new generation of filmmakers who sought to create physical, tangible monsters rather than relying solely on CGI. Dog Soldiers is a rare and distinctive entry in the werewolf subgenre, combining elements of military action, survival horror, and dark comedy to create a tense, thrilling, and often bloody experience. The film's strong characters, intense action, and impressive practical effects make it a standout in its genre, and its blend of humor and horror sets it apart from more straightforward horror films. By exploring themes of survival, authority, and humanity, Dog Soldiers offers a fresh take on the werewolf mythos, ensuring its place as a cult classic in the horror genre.